Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today, in this morning, it's such an honor for me to stand here today as the opposition in today's motion. We believe that political competency tests as a requirement for political candidate cannot be used as a basis to test whether a political candidate are competent enough to be a politician or represent the voice of the people. As we live in a world where people can lie and be tempted by wealth and power. So that is why we proudly oppose today's motion. Let us engage with the main argument from the proposition team or the government team. First, they say that by doing political competency tests, it can be the basis for the politician to act under obligation. But it seems like that the government team forget how this task can actually backfire. Think about it. Such a high test can make those who fail on the test questioning legitimacy of the test. After all, politics, sociology aren't just based by logic, but also opinion, belief, and difference on how one sees the world and the other. If we implemented competency tests, it will eventually backfire, not just for the government, but also for the whole society. Why? Because it could create social divide, resentment, and distrust, particularly among those who fail the test. Just as the status quo by a 2023 study of Indonesian civil service applicants demonstrate how failures in a high-stake task significantly decrease applicant trust in the legitimacy in a task and increase in-group bias, resentment toward national identity, and will particularly affect those from underrepresented groups. The government also argued that this competency test will voters to choose help voters will help voters to choose the right person to represent the voice of the people. And by right person, I mean someone that have the skill or knowledge on how to run a country or understand what people need. Now, but yet within the status quo, voters are more likely to rely on personal impression or party cues, rather than deep analysis on the candidate policy or competence from a journal called Journal of Research in Personality 2014 show that voters prefer candidates that have personality traits in line with their values. This shows that personality traits of the candidates is often the one that encourage people to vote rather than the political knowledge or the competence of the candidates. Political competences cannot be the basis of politician whether a political are able to whether a political able to represent the people need or lead the country to a better place. So let's analysis. First, we cannot deny that politician position will give higher status, source of income, the influence of wealth and power. And all of this can change the behavior of the competence political candidate. And this political competence task cannot guard or prevent this greed behavior. In fact, the public trust in political candidates that are based on the political competence tasks can be misused or to cover up a legal violation that they commit, like corruption. So even a competency task cannot shape leaders from moral deviation, and greed may boost a short-term success but long-term resentment and toxic leadership. Two, the proposition team argued that by doing political competency tasks, it can create better political participation. Let me first state the status quo. From the article in National Library of Medicine show that even when political knowledge of the candidates are guaranteed, it doesn't give any significant effects on the rate of educated youth voter. So there's no little effects on boosting in overall engagement. From the study of political behavior, show that increasing the number of political candidates can increase the number of turnout. If we implemented the political competency test, it may have the chance of decreasing the political candidates number and can decrease the number of voters. Doesn't align with the proposition arguments. And we also need to highlight that the chance of fraud within the task. Within the status quo, there are many cases of fraud within the political process or in the high stakes tasks, like the Indian film pump case where like the Indian where like it involves seat arrangement, manipulation, and bribery, or the election fraud in Afghanistan. 2010 Afghan parliamentary election shows systematic vote fraud benefit the candidates that have strong political network, and this case of fraud can also happen in the political competence task. We cannot deny that there happening a hierarchy politician within the political, especially in our country. So such a fraud can happen within the political competency task in our country if we tend to implement it. So instead of making policy for political candidates do a political competency test to achieve a better government and increase the number of turnout, we as the opposition will propose an alternative way to achieve this. 1. Civic education for the public. By giving civic education to the public, we can we can teach the public to be wise on who they choose. 2. Free media access. By using free media access, it will make transparency between political candidates and the public. This free media access doesn't just limit it to media social for political candidates, but also history or past decisions that were done by these political candidates. So the public, by using education, they can judge from the free media access whether these political candidates are chosenable to be a representative for the people in our country. So, in conclusion, political competency tests will not help us achieve a better government. Instead, it will backfire for the government and the community within it. So that is why I proudly oppose this motion and hope the jury will take in consider. Thank you very much.